Ravens flock, good afternoon. I hope y'all having a good Sunday. We're almost at training camp. So obviously I definitely want to get back into the groove of making these videos. And today, we got to get into, I can't even call it a sad note. I almost for a split second wanted to call it a sad note, but at this point there's nothing to be sad about. But DeAndre Hopkins just signed a deal with the Titans. From what I saw, the deal I think was like 2 years, 32 million, and I think like 26 million was guaranteed or something like that. Am I surprised he went there? A little bit, but all this shows is that he was never that serious about winning, and it was already clear. Like the moment the rumors started coming out that he was visiting like the Titans and the Patriots a couple weeks ago. Like it was already a wrap. It was clear he wasn't serious about winning like he said he was. He's just trying to get the bag. And I can't knock him for that. But at the same time, I'm not going to take him too serious at that point. I'm just glad he went to a team that was extremely irrelevant and is going to be a non-factor next year. Because I really was not trying to see him play for Buffalo or Kansas City or, wherever else. Not that I think that would make them unbeatable. I still think even with D-Hop, we still would have beat those teams. But at the same time, obviously, that would just make it that much harder. But unlike previous seasons, there's no reason for us to be sad or off. There's no reason for us to really care that much either. Because, again, this is the most balanced offense we've had in years. This is most likely going to go down as the best offense we've ever had. Again, it's still a little too early to say that, obviously, but I feel that this is most likely going to go down as the best offense in this franchise's history. Like, we're just too balanced at this point. We still, even without Roman, we're still going to have a great running attack. We have the best tight end room in the NFL. And now we have a well-balanced receiving room. It's so well-balanced now to where now we're actually, for the first time, we're wondering, like, damn, who's going to get cut? Like, nobody was really that concerned a year or two over who was going to get cut. I mean, obviously people still got cut, but you know what I mean? Like it wasn't a big of a topic as it is right now, because now it's really something people are wondering, like, yo, there's only so many spots. Obviously we know Bateman, Zay Flowers, Odell, Nelson Aguilar, and most likely Devin Duvernay. Like that's going to be like the top like 5 players, but then you got to think who's going to get that 6th spot. And we've never had this sort of embarrassment of riches at this position before, which is the exact reason that people like me and many other Ravens fans this season, I don't see it as that big of a deal that we didn't get D-Hop this time. Like in previous years when we didn't get that receiver that everybody was clamoring over and over again, we always had to do some sort of coping mechanism and say that we didn't want them anyway and they're a diva and they want too much money and, they're not going to get the targets they want and are going to complain and all these things. Whereas this is the first season where there's no need for us to cope. There's no need for us to really be pressed about him not coming here. We could just genuinely shrug our shoulders and say, all right, well, at least he went to a team that isn't a real threat. So he's really not going to affect our season in any way. But out of anything that I've seen in the NFL over the past couple of weeks, this is definitely the most interesting thing to me because, again, it's another example of actions mean more than words. Because he was talking a good game a month or two ago, claiming that he just wanted to win. But then he goes to a team that's just as mediocre as the team he just left. He was better off staying in Arizona. He was better off staying there. Like who's Kyler Murray's backup? Like Colt McCoy or whoever. He was better off staying with them, chilling with them, and just riding it out until Kyler come back. It doesn't really make a major difference for him to go to that team, to the Titans. The Jaguars are gonna destroy that division. I'm not even a Jaguars fan at all, but I still think that division's so weak that the Jaguars are still probably gonna mess around and win. Like they're probably gonna win 5 out of their 6 games in that division. It's really not the end of the world, and it's really not even surprising. Like the night draft night when we got Zay Flowers, to me that pretty much sealed the deal, or not sealed the deal, but it closed the door on even the possibility of us even calling D Hop back at that point. Like it would have been nice to still get him, obviously, but I wasn't holding my breath really at that point because it didn't seem like it was likely, and it didn't even seem necessary. Because again, we got the firepower now. Like we got so much firepower that a guy like Devin Duvernay, who last year was basically our number 2 option, he's low key been like demoted to like the number 4 or number 5 option, depending on how things play out with Nelson Aguilar. And that actually had me thinking, like, is there a chance that Devin Duvernay could price himself out of Baltimore? Like, because this year, if I'm not mistaken, I think Devin Duvernay's salary is like $4.3 million or something like that. And then like after this, he gonna be a free agent. Assuming Rashad Bateman stays healthy and balls out, that is what I think is gonna happen. I do think, despite all the weapons we have, I do think Rashad Bateman is probably gonna end up leading the team in receiving yards if he stays healthy. But assuming that happens, he's most likely going to get an extension. If Odell balls out, which I think is going to be the case, if he balls out, even though we have him on a 1-year deal, they put like 3 or 4 voidable years on that. I'm assuming it's because they wanted to reserve the possibility of him playing so well that he would be worth just extending him and keeping him here long term. Then obviously we got Zay here. He's going to be here for the future. He's on a rookie deal, so we don't got to worry about that. But we still also got to still get JK his money. Then even on the defensive side, hopefully we get Patrick Queen his money, because again, when Roquan and Pat are playing together, they're absolutely a top 2, if not the best linebacker duo in the NFL. So like when you look around at the way where the team is headed, there's gonna have to be certain cuts that are made. Certain people are gonna have to kind of, move on to something else. And I do think Devin Duvernay is gonna probably be one of those people who ends up moving on, or at least considers moving on. And when I say like price himself out of Baltimore, I'm not saying like he's gonna come out here and put up 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns and be like a top free agent. Like, I highly doubt that's gonna be the case. I think he'll probably land this year around like, more or less 400 yards and like maybe 4 or 5 touchdowns. But to me, in the case of Devin, it's gonna boil down to the quality of his catches and yardage, and not so much about the quantity. Because one thing you do notice when you watch Duvernay and Lamar play is they have an underrated chemistry. Like they do. Like Duvernay does try. I don't think he's the best receiver, obviously, but he really makes an effort. And he's one of the few people on this team who I think Lamar genuinely trusts in 50-50 ball situations. And I'm not counting Mark Andrews. Like when you think about just the receivers, at least me, I'm hard pressed to remember somebody besides Duvernay who Lamar has thrown the ball to in 50-50 scenarios multiple times. Cause Duve got pretty good hops, man. Like he be going up there and snatching that thing out the air, man. Like when you think about like that first touchdown in the Jets game last year, when you think about that touchdown in the Patriots game last year, even in the Browns game, one of the Browns games we played, it wasn't really a 50-50 ball, but it was still a ball that Lamar threw. It was like a 30-yard pass where along the sidelines where literally Duve chased that thing, tracked that thing down, and laid himself out to go snatch that thing out the air. Like it, to me, those little things, I do think, especially this season with how much attention we're gonna get, because even though we didn't get as much primetime games as I thought we should have. Like we got 5, which is a lot, but I think we're primetime enough to where we should have low key had like 8 or 9 primetime games. Like because this season's gonna be off the wall, man. It's gonna be wild. But like I said, like when you think about Duvernay, he does play with a lot of heart. Like he does have a certain aggression to him. He's shown the ability to want to jump out the building to go grab that 50-50 ball. He's shown that he's somebody who can be fairly reliable as a red zone target. Like even when you think about like 2 seasons ago in that Lions game where everybody was dropping passes. I know obviously we all focus on Hollywood and all the passes he dropped in that game. But it wasn't even just Hollywood. Mark Andrews dropped a touchdown in that game. Sammy Watkins dropped a touchdown in that game. Like people were dropping passes like crazy. But Duve was one of the only ones that like actually was doing as far as I can remember, he didn't drop any balls. So he was doing a good job of catching it whenever he got the chance to, including like that touchdown pass in like the back of the end zone in that game. So I do think a lot of teams may start looking at him and thinking about offering him a deal, especially if he's going to be a free agent. And again, to me, it's not going to be about just the quantity of passes and yards, because I don't think he's going to have crazy numbers. But if he's that guy who, when everybody else is either banged up or double teamed or struggling, whatever, if he's that guy who Lamar, especially in primetime games, could still just toss it up to, and he's coming down with it consistently. Because even before he got hurt last year, he was having a pretty solid year for himself. So if he brings that same energy into this year, and like I said, even if it's only like 300 yards and like 3 touchdowns, if it's a meaningful 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in primetime games, and then he plays a role in us making a Super Bowl run. And then on top of that, we got to remember he's still an all-pro, Pro Bowl caliber punt returner, and kick returner. I could see a scenario where he priced himself out of Baltimore. And it's not going to be a crazy price. I just don't think the Ravens are going to want to pay him more than $5 million, especially when if things work out with Odell the way I think they're going to try to probably extend Odell. Then they're going to have to extend Rashad Bateman if he has a good season. They still trying to work something out with Patrick Queen. They got to, like this, there's too many other pieces. And Duve is one of those pieces that I could see them either trying to get him cheap or just let him go. And if any team pulls up to Duvernay, like if the Rams randomly because the Rams just got DeMarcus Robinson, I didn't think they were even eyeing him, but they went and got him. If the Rams just say, all right, we'll take Duvernay too, and they toss him like a $6 or $7 million offer, I could easily see the Ravens just not wanting to match that, and then he just makes his way out of here. But I don't know, man. Either way, let me know what your thoughts are. Are you mad about the D-Hop situation with him going to Tennessee, or do you not care because our team is stacked? So I really doubt a whole lot of Ravens fans still care. But hey, if you are a Ravens fan who still cares and thinks that we lost out big with missing out on D-Hop, let me know in the comments, and let me know if you think Devin Duvernay is gonna end up having a quality year where he makes plays wherever he gets the opportunity to and prices himself out of Baltimore.